So clearly, we have been having like not only technical difficulties, but a lot, a lot was going on. So I wanted to come on here at least and give you guys an introduction of what I wanted today to actually be about and what I wanted you guys to take away. I wanted to also just kind of share my testimony and share my story for people who may not know me. My name is Lanice. I go by Lanice Michelle on Instagram. My handle, I guess you would say, is Lord Funk. And the name came from me owning a hair salon, a hairline, and a product line um, that was that went under the name Funk, and so that's where the name came from. But I wanted to really start diving into some things that I have been learning, and some things that I have been coached through, and just some things that I wanted to share with my audience. Um, I don't even want to call it my audience. I hate when people do that, but just some friends and family that I'm connected with, and some friends and family that want to intentionally connect with me. I want to make sure that you guys get some value. So I wanted to do a challenge. I've been wanting to do a challenge for a very long time, and so I have done challenges in the past. Probably not a multi-day challenge, maybe just like a one-day challenge, but I have had so many obstacles come in the way of me not fulfilling my promise in response to what God has called me to do. And I want to call it, I do want to say it is a response into what God has downloaded into my spirit, not just with the not just with the challenge per se, but in ministry and in the marketplace. I feel like I've been sitting for a very long time, and not due to anything that God has set me out from, but allowing my self-doubt and allowing insecurities to step in when there were times where I probably should have propelled through. And so I challenged myself. So not only is this a challenge possibly for you guys, and I know it could be a challenge because of the time, but just the things that has come up against me even pursuing things, I think have been very challenging for me. And so I have recently got my car stolen. And so when my car got stolen, all of my things to open up my podcast studio in Baltimore, Maryland was inside of the van. So not only was it my podcast equipment, but it was also my laptop, my iPad, my daughter's cell phone, a couple bags. And at the time, all of my I was in the process of moving, and so all of my things were in storage. So that is where my insurance was. So I was paying for insurance. I wasn't paying like renter's insurance. And so I know a lot of times people be like, well, don't you got insurance? And shouldn't your insurance pay for it? Yeah, but at that time, all of my things were in storage. So if all of my things are in storage, I was paying the storage insurance. And so because those things aren't covered, only the things that are in storage are covered, the things in the car were not covered. So trying to like revamp and like pivot in a time of loss and in a time where I had lost everything. So in my opinion, I know it might not seem like, oh my God, it's just material things, but those were the things that were in the plans for me to generate income for me and my family. So not only was I using podcasting as a platform for advertisement for things that I would be selling, but also I wanted to instill value in other people. And I know I have a lot in me that needed to come out, but also that I wanted to showcase and highlight some people that I have had connections and relationships with that I feel like the world should have access to as well. So Um, yeah, so that's just a little bit. I did kind of want to go in depth about my story, and I'm not really like a memorization type person. Um, and I did have like cues and prompts and presentation and things like that that were not that you just need to aid you in telling your story, because a lot of these things, a lot of the stories that I do want to tell about my experiences um are traumatic or have been traumatic, and I want to make sure that I do the story justice in delivering. Like I said, just the background about myself. um I owned a beauty and wellness company that was called Funk and Flow, and that's when I kind of collabed. I was doing hair for a very long time. I had did hair for about 15, somewhere between like 15 and 20 years professionally. So not just in the house, but behind the chair, owning multiple hair salons, doing hair for like New York Fashion Week, doing hair for celebrities, not just local celebrities, doing hair for professional athletes, their wives. Like I've done a lot. And so I ended up starting like a hair care line, and I was selling hair. And I think a lot of times when in this day and age, when you are a hairstylist, you dibble and dabble into products and tools and hair as far as a means of income. And what's not just to supplement, but for me, I wanted my clients to not only have a really good product, but I wanted to expand my reach and producing a really good product for people. So I had a finishing product line that dealt with like finishes. I sold hair. And then I ended up getting a yoga teacher training certification. So I became a yoga instructor for a couple years. And in the early stages of me doing that, I had a partner, and we did a trap yoga event. Well, we did a lot of trap yoga events that were always sold out. And that was very fun because I got to meet a different side of people, and I wanted Black people on the mat. I wanted Black people to have access to something that not only is we are Aboriginal people to I don't want to call it an exercise, but to the experience or the way of life, because some people use it as some people use it as a way of life. Some people use yoga not only for stretching and exercise, but some people use it as a practice, as far as like a religion and things like that. And so I did yoga teacher training. So I taught yoga for multiple years, and then that's when I opened up a yoga studio that was called Flow. And so after that, I pretty much merged the two brands and came up with Funk and Flow. And so Funk and Flow was a beauty and wellness brand that not only did we mainly focus on hair care and the wellness of a person like internally, but we did yoga events. I sold wellness products. This is when I was into like saging real heavy. We had mat sprays and things like that. And so just expand, like I said, always I wanted to expand my reach when it came to things like that. And so fast forward multiple years, the pandemic came. And so when the pandemic came, I ended up closing my studio, and then I did life coaching certification. So I did a life coaching certification during the pandemic, and it was so pivotal for me because I wanted to not only expand my reach, but I wanted to expand my influence, and I wanted to help people increase their income, no matter what field they were in, more specifically like beauty and wellness fields. But no matter what field they in, I want to help more specifically women and mompreneurs. I want to help people that need help. You know, and majority of these most recent years, I have done everything as a solopreneur, which is extremely hard. It's extremely hard when you need an assistant, you need a team, you need to build, and the company is not producing the income for the help that you need. So it has taught me to scale back and pivot. And so I do believe that God will grace you for the industry and the field that he has you in, and he will make the provision. I don't think that he will actually give you a vision for anything that doesn't come with provision. And so with provision come not only protection, but providing of the income and providing of the finances that you would need to increase your influence and increase your impact. And he will do that and also increase your income. And so I wanted to do the Pivot to Purpose Challenge because not only did I want to help other people, but I know that me personally, like, I want to I really want to follow God's will for my life now. And I think a lot of times because of the events that happen, and sometimes you might feel like things are happening back to back, and I truly felt like that because not only did my car get stolen, and then all of my stuff got stolen, and then it was thing after it was literally like 17 days of like back to back to back to back things that just kept happening. And every day it might be something small, something insignificant to somebody else, but when these things compile and compound, you respond differently. And so me coming off of or really stepping away from postpartum depression, I'm really just light of it, probably about like 4 or 5 months outside of going through postpartum depression, like severely depressed and not being productive. And so I wanted to move forward, and I wanted to in the past tense, but even still, like, I want to move forward, and I'm willing to tell the enemy that I'm going to do whatever God is calling me to do, whether you like it or not. And I think a lot of times we let depression and we let these obstacles and we let these events come in front of us, and then when we are presented with these obstacles, we want to just go around them and not learn the lesson that we are supposed to go through them. And so I was going around a lot of obstacles, and I'll figure it out myself, or I'll do this and I'll do that, until I had to literally sit myself down and try to understand, like, why would God put me in a season where I felt barren? Why would God put me in a season where I don't feel like I can produce? And so when you're in a barren season, just like a woman who can't bear a child, I couldn't birth anything. And so I felt like I was in a season where I wasn't able to birth anything. And me being just creative in nature, it's frustrating when you can't birth something. It's even as a woman, I have enough kids to understand that I'm not physically barren in that area, but I have understood the implications that women might be going through who aren't able to bear children in their own right. And so I feel like the frustrations of not being able to bear fruit, or being the frustrations of not being able to birth things, or the frustrations of not being able to be able to conceive a thing and not produce it. And so you have the idea, you have you've conceptualized it, and you can't move forward. You can't birth the actual thing that God is calling you to birth. And a lot of times we either not letting God be our midwife, or we're not allowing God to impregnate us in the first place. And so I feel like moving forward, I needed to miscarry, if you will. Like, I needed to miscarry a lot of things, and I needed to allow God to conceive these things in me. And so not only did I need him to conceive the ideas, but I needed to partner with God. I need to come in agreements with God. I need to come in alignment with God, and not just what I wanted to do, or not the outcome that I wanted, because a lot of these things are not because I want to do them. Like, I don't want, like, honestly, on some real, like, I know I love entrepreneurship, like, like no other. Like, I have been a full-time entrepreneur since 2005. Yeah, my son was born in '04. I have been a full-time entrepreneur since '05. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that every single year was great and was amazing. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every year was just like the worst, the pits, you know what I mean? And so I've had really amazing years. And I'm not just talking about like 6 figures. Like, no, I haven't hit 7 figures in a year yet. But I have hit multiple 6 figures in a year. And to do that at a very young age, and then when you get older and more seasoned, not only in your area of expertise, but also in age, you feel like am I even worthy? Can I do this again? Can I produce like I've produced before? Can I do more than what I've done in the past? Can I, like, your ability to do things changes and with age. And so not only might you possibly become slower or physically, but you'll become wiser, and you can do more things with wisdom than you can ever do with money. You can do more things with wisdom than you probably can with connections. And when I talk about wisdom, I'm saying more specifically like the wisdom of God, and not just in your own right. So in our own right, you'll never be strong enough to complete the assignment that you are here to complete. You'll never be smart enough to complete the assignment that God has for your life. You will never be enough on your own. And I think that a lot of times we say these affirmations and we say all these things like, oh, I am enough. Yeah, you are enough, but you're not enough alone. You're not enough by yourself. You are only enough through the strength of God. And so I think for the longest time, like, I wanted to be trendy, and I wanted to be on trend or ahead of the trend, and I wanted to be like the fly girl, or I wanted to be, the boss, the baddie, you know what I mean, and things like that. Knowing I'm really a hippie, knowing that I really just want to throw my hair in a messy bun and throw on a t-shirt or a hoodie, or knowing that I really like sneakers and I'm a tomboy at heart, or you know what I mean. And so I think for so long I was trying to be what people wanted me to be, what people thought I should be, or I was put in different settings and people didn't know what was inside of me. And so I was often misunderstood. So it would be in school. I remember in high school, I would be in the advanced classes, the AP classes, with all the nerds and the geeks would, for lack of better terms, I'm going to use that just for, idea purposes. But I didn't look anything like my classmates. Or when I'm hanging out in certain social groups and I'm out in a club, but I would really rather be somewhere learning. You know what I mean? And so, or even down to like yoga, like I'm in this atmosphere with all of these people, and I'm probably 2 of 30 black girls in the room. And so I always felt like an outcast. I always felt set apart. I always felt like God had something something for me that I just wasn't grasping. And a lot of times it's what I had to really understand as of late was my identity. And so the equation that I came up with, honestly, for this just recently, like in my studies, in order to, and even breaking down this, right? I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a challenge, and I'm gonna have slides, and I'm gonna make sure I study, and I'm gonna make sure that, the funnel, and I need to make sure that the email list, and I need to listen, the algorithm, like we so focused on what all these gurus are telling you to make sure that you have in order before you even start. Like, and it really broke down to me. Like, I was in the process of like coaching a friend, and she was just telling me like all of this stuff she wanted to do. And in so many ways we are a lot alike. And I really just had to sit and tell her, like, you don't even have a product. She like, I do have a product. I have this. And I'm like, well, where's that? Oh, well, I need to get this printed, and I need to make sure the manufacturer, and I need the packers. And I was like, you don't have a product. And I was in my coaching her in developing an MVP, and in my coaching her and telling her like how we're going to go about the process and how we can transition you from having nothing to something. I was really speaking to myself. I was really speaking to myself because it's so many, you got so many ideas, you got so many like witty interventions or inventions, and you have all of these like great ideas. You have this big vision, and you want to do this community, and you want to have access to this, and you want to be in these type of relationships, and you want to network in these spaces, and you don't even have a product. You have nothing to sell the people. You have nothing to give the people of value. And it doesn't always have to be a physical thing. It doesn't have to be a t-shirt. You don't have to start a t-shirt line. You don't have to sell sweatshirts. You don't have to, everybody's doing hair and making candles and, all of these things. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, produce a product that, one, yes, the masses are going to buy. But on top of that, you need to be able to create value in the marketplace. And a lot of people are not creating value in the marketplace. And I feel like that's the issue at hand. Or we line about being further along than we really are. Not only in our entrepreneur journey, but just in life, period. We go to therapy for a month or 2 months and we think we got it all together. We go to church a couple Sundays and we think we God's favorite. We pray a couple times and then now you think that you're a prayer warrior. And it don't work like that. And so I think not only when I speak, I'm speaking to myself. Like, and I think that's the issue. Like, I feel like a lot of people they are prescribing things for other people and they not even taking the medicine first. And so, for me, I wanted to always be first partakers and not only like taste test your own food. Like that's a good way to put it. Like, people need to start taste testing their own food, And so I know I made a post that said something about just start. And so for me, I felt like, because I don't have my cameras no more and my laptop gone and I'm working, I can't work on an HP, and what I'm going to do about my iPad, and the screen on this is not clear enough, and I need to pay for this system and this program and this SaaS and this software because I need my stuff to look like this. And I hate flies. I feel like the flies are from the enemy. But yeah, so I know like I need to be first partaker. And so if I'm going to tell other people to start and then tell other people to do things, then I need to be first partaker. And for me, I was just experiencing thing after thing after thing, not just leading up to the challenge, but ultimately you have to see if some things were God stopping me from moving forward, and some things are the enemy stopping me so I don't move forward. So some things is for God, it's for my safety, and some things is because it's ultimately for the devil's safety, because he knows that some of these things that's coming out of your mouth, some of these videos that you need to produce, some of these products that need to be in the marketplace, some of these ideas that you have, some of these things some of these conversations that you need to have, some of these people that you're going to help, some of these souls that you're going to help save, like, it's not going to be able to be done if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so I wanted people to understand who they are. So I came up with a couple definitions, because I came up with a equation in developing purpose, and this is a personal equation that I came up with. I will have I'm gonna make a PDF version. I'm gonna have to do it on my phone because I wasn't able to I had the issue with my laptop today, the laptop that I've been using since my MacBook got stolen. So when I say the enemy has been working, he been working. But just know, like, he's defeated. So I came up with a couple definitions based off of the equation that I came up with. And I want you guys to understand and get this in your system and really understand what purpose really is. Because I think we think that we aren't being purposeful if we aren't being successful. And that is furthest from the truth, because success in your life might be different than success in my life. And so I know one thing for me, that I know an area I wanted to be very successful in was in mothering. And I understood that I wasn't possibly the best mother when I was younger. And so most recently, my dedication to my children, not just the youngest children, but all of my children, has been to be a better mother to them. And not just where they are, but also going back to some of the traumas that they experienced, not just due to me, but due to their other parents, situations that me and their other parent might have put them in. Just wanting to go back and help them heal the childhood traumas, and help them heal the little boy and the little girl that's inside of them. And so that success might not look profitable, but to other people, but to me, most recently, the profit is shown in the relationship. And so how the relationship is now being handled, and how the conversations that we now have, and the time that we value when we spend together, those things are being shown to be profitable to me. And so I want you to really understand that while success can look different in your life than somebody else's, profit also looks different in your life than somebody else. So profit doesn't always have to be a dollar amount, but profit is always viewed through purpose. I want you to understand that profit is always viewed through purpose. So look at the reason, the intention that you're doing something, and you'll be able to understand more whether the profit is more of a loss, or if you have been profitable in that area. So the equation I came up with, it is possibly in the show notes, but it's identity plus authenticity plus God's plan equals purpose. And so, like I said, I'll have these definitions. I'll link them in the show notes. I'll create a Google Doc, and then I'll just put them in the show notes so that you guys can have them and read them, and not only use them as an application to your life, but use my definition to be whatever you need it to be, because this is my definition that I came up with for each word and what it means to me. And I want you to pull, like I said, like eat the meat, spit out the bones. Like you don't have to take everything that I give you, but I do believe that I'm giving you just enough that you can take it and you can run with it. So my definition for identity is the fusion of an individual's authentic self shaped by personal beliefs, experiences, and emotions that involves embracing vulnerabilities, healing from past wounds, and aligning with one's true purpose while staying rooted in their faith and relationship with God. The journey encourages self-discovery, personal growth, and deep connection with oneself and God. And so I really wanted to make sure that you understand that these are my definitions. And so my relationship with God might possibly be different than your relationship to your personal higher being or higher calling, or whatever you might want to call it, or wherever you are spiritually. But for me, I subscribe to Christianity, and I do believe that I am a follower of Christ, and I believe in God. I believe that he sent his son for my salvation. And so in me speaking, I hope I don't offend anybody, but this is my religion, and I am speaking from my perspective, and hopefully that you can, like I said before, like eat the meat, spit out the bones. So breaking down identity, like I said, like just to break down my definition, the fusion of an individual's authentic self. So it's who you authentically are. Now we do break down authenticity in just give me a second, but it's who you are, and then it's shaped by your experiences, your beliefs. It's shaped by your emotions, but you also need to do so in the perspective of embracing your vulnerabilities and embracing your healing, the processes of healing, and then you align that with God's purpose and plan for your life. And so I want you to really understand that it does encourage like self-discovery. So this isn't something that is just gonna just pop up one day. It happens over time. It's a journey. And so it comes through like personal growth, and it comes through your connection with God, your relationship. And so these things, your identity is shaped, in my opinion, through the lens of God's view. And so what is God's view of your life? Who does he say that you are? Who do you believe that you are in relationship to who God says that you are? Because last I checked, God told me that I was a lender and not a borrower. I'll be the head and not the tail. You know what I mean? And so I want him to go before me and in these things, and I want him to not only tell me who I am, but I need him to show me who I am. So a lot of these things that you're experiencing, whether it be lack, whether it be pushback, whether it be loss, whether it be a grieving season, these things are there to show you more of who you are, because you would never know how strong you are if you're not picking up the weights. You'll never know how fast you are if you never run. You know what I mean? You'll never know your ability until you have some form of this little, I think they fruit flies because my son's had a peach in my room and it's annoying. I'm sorry. But yeah, you'll never know your ability until you have some form of resistance. And so I want you to understand that any form of resistance that you might be experiencing right now in your life is only there to make you more of who you really are. So let's get into my second definition, which was authenticity. And so authenticity is being true to oneself, embracing personal beliefs, experiences, and emotions while aligning with God's plan and design. Being authentic is a process that involves self-discovery, healing from past traumas, and intentionally cultivating an empowered self that reflects one's faith, values, and vision for their life while connecting to growth and God. So in this definition of becoming authentic, I want you to understand that I believe that you have to be very connected to self-discovery and growth, meaning you have to be open to expanding. You have to be open to new. You have to be open to never ending. Like for me, I have an insatiable appetite for growth. I have an insatiable appetite for learning, for being better, for being more than. I want to always be able to produce and increase somebody's value. I want to always be able to sow into somebody's life at whatever cost, a lot of times. And sometimes it's at my cost. But I tell people a lot of times, like, stop pouring from your cup and pour from your saucer, because you pouring from the saucer once God is pouring into you, and that way you're only pouring from overflow at this point. So when you start pouring from the saucer, you're pouring from the leftover parts that God has gave you and graced you with for you to expand and give to somebody else. Because if we keep giving from our cup, that's what God gave us for us. God never said, oh, I'm going to pour into you so you'll have nothing left for yourself. No, everything that he pours into you is for you. And so once all of that overflow that pours into the saucer that the cup is holding is for everybody else. And so that's why you might possibly be drained, and you might feel, taken back, and you might feel like you don't have enough or you aren't enough. It's because you're so busy pouring from the cup. And that's just for you. So start pouring from your saucer. I don't know where that just came from, but back to the back to the definition that I have for authenticity was basically like the first part is being true, right? So being true to yourself. And I think we get being true to yourself mixed up. And it has to be, like I said, in alignment with growth and God. So once being true is in alignment with growth and God, that's when you understand authenticity. Because I could be true to the streets. I could be true to the game. Ain't that what they say? I could be true to things that aren't really in alignment with what God's plan for my life or his design for my life. And so when you start thinking about God's plan and design for your own personal life, like that you embracing it, and aligning it with your beliefs and your emotions and your different experiences. Like that is how you become authentic. I think a lot of times, and embracing your vulnerabilities, because I think for me, a lot of times, like I was very prideful in being sustained. Okay. And so, oof, wow. I was I was proud in being sustained, right? I was proud in God allowing me to survive certain things, right? And I'm saying it to say God had more for me, because I was proud in being like, at one point in time I was like, you know what, God, like I want you to make me regular. I want you to make me normal. I want you to just not, like I don't want to have big ideas. I don't want to have new vision. And I was begging, and I was like, you know what, God, just give me a job. I don't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. I don't want to help people. I don't want to help save lives. And um, God told me one day, clear as day, like, it's not even about you. Sorry. It's not your plan. It's not your will for your life. It's nothing to do with you. This is everything to do with me and my glory. And so my thing is, what I think, like, on one end, yeah, God is a gentleman, right? But on the flip side, I feel like he will chase you until you make the decision that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what and align your will to that. And so that'll take me over into God's plan, right? So my definition for God's plan is divine purpose, intention, and guidance that God has for each individual's lives. It involves recognizing that every aspect of your journey includes challenges and blessings, is orchestrated by God with a greater purpose in mind. And so to embrace it is surrendering to his wisdom, trusting his timing, and actively participating in the unique path that he has set for you. That leads to a life of fulfillment, growth, and alignment with his will. Whew. I know these are kind of wordy. Like, if you haven't noticed, I love running with sentences. I love I'm super wordy, right? I love definitions. I love the true meaning of a thing. I hate misunderstandings. I hate not being understood. I totally despise people getting misinformation. And so I will give you a definition after definition after definition, just so that I want you to understand it. And like I said, like I want you to piece away what you might need from it or what you take away from it. So it might, my definition for me and for the people that I'm supposed to be connected to, it might not be for you, but I want you to take what you can from it. So let's break down the definition of God's plan. So divine purpose, intention, and guidance, right? So his plan involves purpose, intention, and guidance. The greatest part about God's plan is the guidance, which we totally forget most of the time. Like we totally forget that his plan comes with guidance. And when we get knocked off a course, because it don't look like what we want it to look like, we feel like this not God, right? How often do we feel like, oh, because this happened, this got to be the enemy, this got to be the devil? Like Jonah being swallowed up by a whale. It come from consistently being disobedient, and you end up getting on a boat with somebody else. Now they stuck in a storm. Now they stuck in a storm because you on their boat. How many times do we put ourselves in situations that other people have the residual effects of us being disobedient? All right, so cool. You know what? We're going to throw you off the side. You get swallowed up by a whale. Granted, being swallowed up by a whale, getting eaten by a shark, whatever you want to call it, you should be dead. God spared his life. And then the whale or the big fish or whatever version you want to read, and it'll digest it however you can imagine the story to be for your interpretation, spits him back out. Now he decides, okay, cool, I want to be obedient. But how many times have we done that, right? God, understand that his intention and his purpose for your life is never going to come without guidance. It's not going to come without guidance. And so I think the first step in his plan is obedience. And that comes with really understanding, like how when I broke it down, like embracing it is really surrendering to his wisdom, his timing, and then participating in it. Right? So participating in your journey. Like, you can't, like, for me, like, I was tapping out. I was like, you know what, God, it's overwhelming. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. When it came to parenting, when it came to business, when it came to relationships, when it came to friendships, I just wanted to, I called it be normal. I just wanted to do nothing. I didn't want no responsibilities. And I really had to understand that, oh, this song just came to mind. My life is not my own. You are where I belong. I give myself to you. And so really understanding that this life is not yours. And sometimes it's hard to understand it. So like I said, like trusting in his time and actively participating in this path that he got set for you. And that leads to the fulfillment, the growth, and the alignment with his plan. Like that's what that leads to. Like understanding that his plan is actually a journey, right? And you might not understand it all in one time, but I want you to understand that this path that he has set for you, like he's going to do whatever he needs to do to put you right back in alignment. So it's just like your GPS. Like, I don't know about your cars, but if you put your GPS on in your car and it's how you turn right and you turn left, it's going to do whatever it need to do to get you back to turning right, to get you back to the destination. It's going to rear you right back where you're supposed to. It's going to keep rerouting you, rerouting. It's going to keep putting you back to where you're supposed to be. So look at God's plan like that. Look at the journey being a continuous rerouting. And the only reason why you're not getting there at the time that you're supposed to get there is because you're being disobedient. Because the timelines are set. And I already told y'all that embracing his plan is surrendering to his wisdom, trusting his time, and actively participating in the path that he had for your life. So I think his guidance comes with surrendering our own wisdom to his wisdom. Understanding that his thoughts are not my thoughts. His ways are not my ways. Neither has it entered into the heart of man. Like, that's like, what was that, Jeremiah 29:11, I think it is. Like, you can't even think of the stuff that he had for your life. You can't even imagine or conceptualize what life is supposed to be like. It's supposed to look like. It's supposed to feel like. It's supposed to taste like. You don't know what it would possibly be like if we were continuously obedient. And so, I just want to end it on that note. I didn't want to be before you long. I knew that I wanted to deliver some information that has been resting on my heart, some stuff that I've been wrestling with myself, and just in some conversations that I've been having with fellow entrepreneurs, more specifically like mompreneurs. Like, I have a really good relationship with a couple mompreneurs, and they are very drawn. Like, mompreneurs are always just drawn to me, and I really understood that, one, that's my avatar, and two, that's who I have the heart for. I have the heart for the women who are trying to juggle babies and business, women who are trying to juggle like relationships and righteousness. Like, I'm really for the women who don't want to compromise their vision and their values. Like, I really am for the woman who wants to increase her impact and her income and her influence. And so I have the heart for that woman, because I know what it takes to wake up in the morning, not be productive, but just to even wake up, because sometimes just waking up is being productive. And so I want to end day one on that note, and I do apologize that this was not delivered in the manner in which you probably needed it to be delivered. But yeah, I guess I had to do it my way. And like I said earlier, like, I wanted to have all the glitz and glamour with the cameras, and I set up funnels, and I set up like emails, and I did all that, presentations and social media. Like, and some days, like yesterday, it was like I don't really feel like posting. And I think that in itself could be self-sabotaging. A lot of times, like I said, like yesterday, I ended up, emotional decision, cut my hair off, right? So now my hair is like up here. Why? But I wanted to make sure that I delivered on my promise. And I think that to me was more important than anything, is delivering on a promise. And so I know a lot of times, like, we set dates, and then I could have just easily been like, you know what? I ain't gonna do it. I came on here late. The whole computer blacked out. Well, not blacked out, it's a white screen. So my computer whited out. All no lights, no cameras. I'm literally using an iPhone 14, like Pro Max, something. I don't know what these phones are called now. They just got so many titles. I don't know now. But yeah, so I wanted to, more specifically, like I said, beyond anything else, it's like I want to be an example. And I want to make sure that people are following the calling that God has for their life. And so, yeah, that's it. You know what? I feel drawn to kind of pray, and then we just gonna leave it at that. Hopefully, I know how to like exit out this thing. But God, I come to you as humble as I know how. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, God. God, thank you for the time. Thank you for the person that's watching this. God, I thank you in advance for their heart, God. God, I thank you for them being open-minded, God. God, I thank you for them sitting through this, God. God, I know that the delivery might not be what they needed, but I hope that there was some value that was instilled in them, God. God, I ask that you cover their business, God. God, that you cover their family, God. God, that you prosper them in the ways that they should go, God. God, I ask that you help them develop and uncover their purpose for your purpose for their life, God. God, I ask that you increase them in not only in their impact and in their influence, God, but you increase their income, God. God, we pray for supernatural overflow, God. God, we pray that something in their life today happens suddenly, God, no matter what day they watch it, whether it's today, the day that it was recorded, or 150 years from now, God. God, we ask that you cover every family, God, every child that's connected to every spirit that is watching this, God. God, we ask that you show them the way that they should go, God. God, we ask that you create good human beings, God, not only good people, God, but we ask that you raise them up to not only to live in your word, to understand your word, to hear your word, God, but you create us to be great parents for these children, God. God, allow us to steer them in the way that they should go, God. I ask that you impart wisdom in every soul that listens to this today, God. God, that you ask that they pull away, they can take away everything that they need from today, God. Anything that I've said that was unlike you or not to be said like you, they can spit it out, God. God, I ask that every person that had possibly listens to this video or watches this video, God, receive increase and overflow in their life, not just today, but 100-fold, God, for as long as you need them to, God. Show yourself in them, God. Show them who you are in their life, God. Show them the plan that you have for them, God, even if it's unfolding, God, even if it's a journey, God, even if it unravels, God. Show them enough for them to stay committed to the process, God. Show them enough for them to commit and be dedicated. God, show them enough to want to be disciples of your word, God. God, show them enough so that they can be disciplined in their walk. God, show them enough so that they can be obedient and whatever you have them to be obedient in, God. God, I ask that you increase vision, God, that you increase businesses, God, that you increase profits, God. God, I ask that you increase the love in their hearts, God. God, I ask that you not only make them great people, God, but good business people, God. God, connect them to people that can increase their business. Connect them to people that can blow them up and out the water, God. All these things we ask in your most precious name and in your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. So there we have it. I'm sorry if I got a little off track. I just hope that you can take something from what was said today. And yeah, I'll catch y'all on day 2.